For over 30 years, Situation Management Systems has trained the Positive Power and Influence program to people all over the world in an effort to empower themselves with the knowledge and tools they need to deal with difficult situations at work, at home, and everywhere in between. Our CEO and host, Sherri has been training people about positive power and influence all around the world for most of her professional career, and recently got her PhD in Human Development within the School of Leadership at Fielding University. Her co-host, Rhonda Selvale, has been with the company for more than 10 years now, and is not only a client services consultant, but a trainer of the program who has directed various learning initiatives for some of our most important clients.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Sherri.
You ready to talk about emotional intelligence?
Sure am.
Some days I don't feel very emotionally intelligent.
I think we all have those days.
I say you can be emotionally intelligent on a good day.
And only on a good day.
Although sometimes the bad days, it's more critical to be emotionally intelligent.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes there's the opportunity to reschedule on those really bad days.
It's always a good idea to reschedule on a bad day. So what's emotional intelligence to you?
To me, it's being aware of my emotions in any situation and knowing how to get control of them in a timely manner and being cognizant of when I feel I'm losing control. I'm lucky I have what I call a human barometer, and I can literally feel the heat rising on my face when things are getting out of control. So that's my clue to step off.
Yeah, it's funny. The definition that I always go with is the ability to handle the strong emotions of myself and other people. And it seems pretty straightforward when you think about it. Yeah, I can handle my emotions, but a lot of people can't. And just because, so for example, I know somebody who says he's always emotionally under control, but he thinks that because he's not like flipping out at other people and yelling at other people all the time. But inside, he's a mess. And so it includes the inside as well, which is a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that being emotionally intelligent means, yes, your temperature might be rising, but you have the tools and the ability to lower that temperature in the moment. You know, so it's the awareness and management. You know, and the management isn't just, you're not flipping out externally at other people, but it's also, you're not boiling up inside and your stress isn't through the roof and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think a big part of it is being aware of where your head is at before you even cross that threshold and start that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and being aware of what buttons the individual has a bad habit of pushing, just being really emotionally prepared. And in essence, a lot of emotional intelligence is being prepared before you go into that conversation. So you have the ability to control yourself.
And I think, I think a lot of the frustration that people feel in different situations and their emotional reactions are driven by frustration at not knowing what to do and not knowing what to do differently. And that's why we train people on the Positive Parent Influence program, and it really does help with that. Now, you had somebody you were working with just recently, right? You did a virtual program with a guy. It was a one-on-one.
Yes, it was really quite eye-opening for him because when we started talking about emotional intelligence and losing that control, he realized that it was something he really needed to work on, because he would basically just let out whatever expression he felt was appropriate and then leave. He was just avoiding the entire situation, but letting everyone know that he was upset. And he just didn't have that skill set. And he had found out how it had impacted others from the ISQ tool. And we went through some practice. He had a great ability to communicate what it was that he wanted. What he didn't have the skill set to do was combat the negatives that came back at him. And he's in a position that Well, on day one, he was at a position with no power. And then, interestingly enough, he got a promotion that evening, which was a perfect setup for the pull exercises, because this was something that he had no skills with at all. He had no ability of collecting information from people, so he could influence them more effectively or get them on his side, get them to understand, what the common ground was and that they were all in this together. So it was really a very effective session for him.
Yeah, it's interesting what happens to people when we take them through the program and they get to spend some time in self-reflection, because part of it is understanding yourself, and of course the influence style questionnaire really does help people understand themselves more effectively, and like you said, he didn't really know about it until he got that feedback, and then he understood, and it was an eye-opener. And it's an eye-opener for a lot of people, especially when we get into the disengaging and they find out they never disengage. And maybe they always avoid, like he got. So low on disengaging and high on avoiding. And that tends to be the emotional reactor type of person. And we see a few of those.
Yes. That we do. It was really very interesting. It turned into a one-to-one coaching session, which worked out, I think, very well for this individual, because he was quite introverted. I think that was probably one of the reasons why he had some issues with when he didn't get what he wanted, because he didn't work very closely with individuals. And his role has changed. He would be working as a supervisor with all these individuals that he had no positional power over before. It was a big, big change for him.
I bet. The timing was perfect for the program.
And I'm really looking forward to our follow-up call, because I'm really curious to see how his first interactions with his new team members went, based on what we prepared for.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to find out. It is always interesting to touch base with people after a month after they've been to the program.
We get wonderful feedback, because I think so often in so many training programs, you're given the tools and then nothing.
Yeah.
And by holding people, almost holding them accountable to do their exercise and have that conversation and be prepared to talk about it is a great way of setting people up for success. I really feel that way.
Yeah. And we know that when people do their critical influence situation, something like 3/4 of people are successful. And the other piece is they continue to use the styles. Because they go, Sherri, Rhonda, they were right. It works, or whoever the trainer is.
Yeah. Well, we had that wonderful call just about a month ago as well, where everybody had success with their critical influence situation, and we had the opportunity to work with them for their next one. It was really exciting.
Yeah, and they didn't have a problem doing it because they saw how much it worked.
That's it.
So, in the situational influence model itself, so this program's been around since the 1970s, and we have always taught people how to be emotionally intelligent. We have increased people's self-awareness. We have taught people the skills to actually deal with their emotions and the emotions of other people. So we've been doing this before, Goldman made it, a buzzword in the early 90s. And to this day, we still explicitly tell people this is how you manage emotional intelligence. So we have one of the pull styles, bridging. And there's a couple of behaviors within bridging that really help with emotional intelligence. So one of them is disclosing. And disclosing actually helps people manage what they're feeling. So if I say to somebody, I'm feeling frustrated that we're not getting anywhere, it's better for me to get it out than to suppress it. Suppression doesn't work with emotions, and it ultimately in the long run makes people stressed and ill to suppress. So one option is disclose. Disclose what you're feeling. Let somebody know what you're feeling. And when I say that, I don't mean slap somebody around with your emotions. We're so used to being victims and telling people, oh, you make me feel X. Well, nobody makes you feel anything.
That's so true. You have to understand how people make you feel in certain situations, and own that. And by being able to say, I'm frustrated or I need help is powerful.
Well, see, you even slipped then and said how people make you feel. It's not anybody making you feel. You react in a situation. Somebody pushes your buttons. You react. You can choose to figure out why you're reacting. It's your reaction. Because not everybody's going to react the same way. So, I mean, if people actually had control over your feelings and your emotions, that would be one thing, but they don't. And it's so much a part of our language. It's so much a part of how we talk. Everybody gets blamed for making me feel a particular way. Well, it's not their fault. It's not their control. And that's why we talk about it being a good day when I can manage myself. And I might react in a moment, but then I let it go. Whereas some people, what happens is they react and wallow. And wallow and wallow. And you hear about it forever, about how upset they are and how angry they are and how this they are. And it's like, well, wait a minute, let it go. You can talk about it, you can disclose it, but if it's going on for days and days and days and days, then yeah, you're definitely stuck.
Yeah. And that's why those conversations that really need to happen don't happen. Or sadly, they get forced into an email, which makes things worse.
Oh, much worse. Much, much worse. You can't solve problems through email.
There's conflict and a conversation needs to happen. The conversation needs to happen.
And you got to get on Zoom or
it needs FaceTime.
something. FaceTime.
Absolutely.
Even the phone isn't as effective. So many people work on the phone. I mean, we get that with everybody. I said, look, phone calls are fine for certain types of conversations. They're fine, setting stuff up. But if you're really trying to problem solve or you've got a very difficult conflict, you need eye contact. You need to be able to see people. So use Zoom, use WebEx, use Skype, whatever. There's so many tools.
Right. And most office systems have those tools within their management network anyway.
Office 365. Microsoft bought Skype. Everybody's got Office 365. Yeah. It's available to everybody. You can do it. FaceTime. I mean, there's so many ways that you can get face-to-face with people these days. There's no excuse. There really isn't. So, those conversations really, really do need to happen that way. But so one of the things is disclosure instead of suppression. But the other part of the bridging style that really helps with somebody else's strong feelings is listening.
Yeah, being present and being available to what other people have to say is incredibly powerful because we don't do it. They're not used to people actually being there and listening to what they have to say.
Yeah, I got a good story. I share this story a lot because it's just priceless. But, there was this woman, there's a group of participants that were practicing listening, and they were in a room. And I walked into the room, and this woman obviously was incredibly frustrated. I mean, out of her mind frustrated. And she looks at me and she goes, "You can't do these listening skills with people." And I looked at her and I said, "You can't do the listening skills with people?" She goes, "Absolutely not. It will drive them crazy." I said, "It'll drive them crazy?" She goes, "Yeah, you can't keep repeating what people are saying." I said, "You can't keep repeating what people are saying?" So what happened was, because I was just doing the very simple parroting, she calmed down. There was no resistance from me. I was totally focused on her. I was totally present, and I just listened to her. And once she calmed down, she went, "Oh, you're doing it to me." And it's like the light bulb goes off. And obviously you can't parrot with people too much because they're going to want to, slap you, strangle you, something, and you look kind of dumb. But, it's just one of the skills that you can use if somebody's very upset. Parroting actually helps calm them down. And you can do more sophisticated forms of listening. You can do the paraphrasing. You can, reflect underlying feelings. And all of that gets to a point where the other person feels your attention. feels heard, and they get so much calmer and so much quieter. And it helps them manage their emotions. So you've just done that other piece of it, which is to manage the strong emotions of somebody else through listening.
It's very impressive to see when you can tell people are listening. You've got the eye contact. You're not talking as much. That other person is talking. The words start to flow when they know they're being heard. And you get the opportunity to show them that you understand by saying back to them what you're saying in your own words. So it shows you're listening and that you're there, that you're present in that conversation.
Yeah, you're not coming up with, retorts or arguments or pushback. You're not doing any of that stuff at all, which is what we normally see with people. They're just listening. And it's such an odd thing because we don't pay attention to each other.
Yeah, I often will tell people, if you're thinking of your objection, you're no longer listening. And that happens the first time words are heard that you don't necessarily agree with and they want to come back. When you're actively listening, that's not what you're doing. You're listening. You're taking in that information and making sure you're getting it right.
And it's so, think about the times when somebody's actually paid attention to you and listened to you and how you felt about that person. Because I get so many people going, well, how do you build relationships? Have you ever just focused on somebody else?
Well, we see it in the ISQ often. That listening, that box goes right up. And generally it's something that's happened, fairly recently. But people remember that. They don't remember the words you say, but they remember how you made them feel. So when someone feels that they've been listened to, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. It's an interesting impact, but it is a way of managing somebody else's strong emotions. And that's a big part of emotional intelligence. It's the ability to not get swept away with somebody else's emotions and actually help them to calm down. It's a powerful, powerful tool. The other pull style that's really important around it is actually attracting and that sharing of common ground.
I find that is so important, and you have to get that right for your vision. The second action, you have to. I always love to share my first experience, and we were in a group of people, and we all had phenomenal experiences in college, and we went to present it to the group. 2 people in the group did not have great experiences in college, so it didn't matter how wonderful our vision was; it wasn't going to work because we could not establish that common ground. Yeah. That was a big aha moment for me on how important that common ground is.
And we need it. We need to feel accepted, connected. We need to feel a part of. It's an unconscious drive. It's there for everybody. And we are figuring it out all the time. And it can be on a very unconscious level, but we do try to figure out how connected in we are. When people feel connected in a part of things, they feel stronger. So it's actually a nice tool to use for people. So the other thing, that we know is really important piece of being able to manage emotions is being grounded.
Yes, critically important. Feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your center, feeling that sense of balance and calm really allows you to go in with that clarity that you need to just be able to have a good conversation. Whether you be using pull, whether you be using push, being grounded gives you that base of neutrality to work from.
So we probably need to tell people what we mean by being grounded. Being grounded is a way of managing your energy in your body. We're made up of energy. Newsflash. Right. Most people, especially in this country and I guess in the West, don't think about their energy. Don't think about the fact that you can actually manage the energy in your body. And it has to do with where you put your attention. So if you put your attention on your feet, you can feel them starting to buzz. That means that's the first step in understanding what we're talking about with being grounded. It's a thing, it's physics. But your mind can manage the energy in your body. And so when we do that and we do it well, then we're more balanced. if we're rooted into the ground and our energy is rooted, because what happens when people get upset is their energy gets scattered and it's all over the place. And it's, it can be really kind of weird when people are very upset. You walk into a room when people are upset, you can feel it. You walk in a room when people are happy, you can feel it. We talk about it being infectious. That's the energy. So part of being grounded is not constantly be swaying in the wind based on whose emotions are doing what around you. It's being centered and grounded and strong and choosing in this moment, this is what I want to feel.
Yeah, and it's easy to get lost in that moment. I mean, joyful to get lost when someone brings in, we all know those people that walk into a room and energy just lifts up. We all know those people, and that's joyful, but the reverse is the same. And those individuals who can just have that ability to bring you down, you need to be able to approach them at a completely neutral level.
Yeah, and that's part of what the grounding does. And so what I've been doing on our Facebook page for situation management systems is doing grounding videos for 10 minutes every Monday at 12:30. We're right now Eastern Standard Time. And you can join me at any time and come in, or you can go into the Situation Management Systems Facebook page and see the recorded videos. There's a bunch of them there. So grounding is a powerful tool and really is a big part of how you can be emotionally intelligent. I mean, it really is a helpful thing to do.
It is. I've actually suggested it to a number of people that I work with, and I connect with, particularly through LinkedIn, saying it's something you get here, and take the time. Either watch the video or come in on Mondays.
Yeah. It's funny. I've done it with groups, big groups, 40 people, 100 people. And you know how when you have a bunch of people in a room, it's you can feel the energy. It's kind of rustly and people are shifting. And then you do the grounding exercise and it is so quiet in the room. It's amazing. You can hear a pin drop. Everybody is so peaceful and quiet. It's great. It's great because you can do it with huge groups of people. And it has a wonderful impact. And people then get it. They go, oh, this is very different.
And again, it's the energy that you feel.
And one of the things I do during those grounding exercises is I get people to sigh and breathe. Because one of the things I tell people all the time is oxygen is your friend. It's one of my favorite lines. You need to breathe. Big breaths. I mean, it's one of the beautiful things that people get from meditation, from doing yoga, from exercise, is they oxygenate your body. And it's such a good thing for bodies to be oxygenated. So even if you can't move around a lot, you can at least breathe. Take deep breaths and drop down into your body. And it really helps a lot.
It's very interesting when we're working in the sessions how often we're telling people, breathe, stop, take pause. Because so often they just start to rattle off this information without waiting for any response. And they lose the power of their points that they're bringing up.
They really do.
It's we call it argument dilution because you just go on and on, where sometimes it's better to just say a few things, breathe and take in the response, then move forward.
It was so funny because, I had done an exercise with a couple of participants that we had, because we only had 2. So I jumped in and did the exercise with them. And one of the positive pieces of feedback that they gave me was how I use silence. Because I always will take a pause, I'll breathe, and just watch what's going on. It's pretty interesting when you leave it open like that and let other people speak. So I don't know. That's all the thoughts I have today about emotional intelligence. Is there anything else coming up for you?
Nope. I just want to see everybody on Mondays.
Yeah, come to us on Mondays.
Eastern Standard Time.
And remember, emotional intelligence is key for the holidays.
That's a great note to wrap on.